Hearty pranam to you everyone. Today I am going to talk about Bhakti Yoga or the way of devotion to Parabhakti. Parabhakti is nothing but Sadhya Bhakti. In very simple way, there are two types of bhakti or devotion. First one is sadhan bhakti and second one is sadhya bhakti. Sadhya bhakti is the aim of sadhan bhakti. That's called parabhakti, where a devotee's heart melts in pure devotion of Almighty or the Lord. In scripture, there are huge explanations about devotion. Mainly, we listen about the Navadha Bhakti or the 9 steps of devotion which lead to Parabhakti. In this video, I will not talk about the gradual process of bhakti. On the contrary, I will try to put a few hints in front of sadhaka or seekers or who are trying to walk along the way of devotion. Simply, devotion is that where the heart melts in pure surrender or complete surrender of complete surrender to the Lord or Almighty. The very simple way, firstly, seeker should go to a bhakt who is devotee in true sense, whose attraction to world or whose worldly attractions have already melted or disappeared. On the contrary, whose mind is always in the pure surrender or devotion of the Almighty, who realizes or knows in heart that everything goes on according to the very will of Almighty or the Lord or God. Just after realizing this truth, his heart is in the state of complete surrender. He knows inside the body, senses, mind, intellect, all of this are in existence of Almighty. It's his inner experience, no doubt at all, inside of his or her mind. Entire universe is nothing but the reflection of Almighty, or the transformation of the God. In other words, Almighty exists in many form and name as the universe. It's his first-hand experience, and it's the base. Standing on or remaining on this base, there may be various type of bhava, means pure emotions, in devotion too. So it's not the video where I talk about the various type of bhava, means emotion, as like Shanta, Dashya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, Madhur. This is not that video where I talk about these 5 main emotions. On the contrary, simply I am trying to put or present a hint or a few hints. So, main thing is that the person whose state, I mean mental state, is in this mentioned condition, he is a real bhakta or devotee according to scripture. So, firstly, a sadhak or a seeker, or who is going to be a devotee in future, he must pray to the Almighty for the previously mentioned Guru who will instruct the seeker. After having Guru, disciple gets instruction according to, according to his own nature or her own nature from the master or the guru. Normally, guru provides a mantra, a few words to chant or for chanting. It's called diksha or initiation. With initiation, disciple gets a few rules or instructions to follow. As example, I can mention here sometimes Guru says in this way, "O my son or daughter, today you have got this mantra from me. Every day you must chant it wholeheartedly in morning and evening. For the particular time, and if you are able, then you must chant it during your worldly activities. And not only that, you must keep it in your mind that your every deed is nothing but the service of Lord or the Almighty. You must maintain your responsibilities as the selfless service of Lord. Your all activities will gradually turn into the selfless service of the Almighty. In this aspect, sometimes Guru used to instruct to the disciple. In maximum cases, instructions or rules depend upon the level of the disciple. Guru understands it. That's why he or she is Guru. Just after sincere following this instruction for particular period, gradually disciple feels or gets much more purity in mind than the previous time, and this purity increases day by day in very gradual process, and ultimately, according to the nature of the disciple, through the gradual process, this purity of the mind reaches to the very state of complete surrender. In between, the disciple may get various type of darshan means visions according to own nature or sanskara, but it's not compulsory for everyone. But the main aim is to reach just at the very door of surrender through following these instructions. Disciple ultimately reaches to the very door or the very gate of Parabhakti. After reaching or entering inside that state or the zone, this truth becomes clear to the disciple. Everything goes on according to the will of Almighty. Just after this realization, there is no ego inside the mind as the pastime. Simply ego turns as the servant of Lord. Here, previously I already mentioned that there are 5 types of emotion: Shanta, Dashya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhur. So, in this video, I am not able to talk about 5 types of emotions. So, just after entering the very state of Parabhakti, the disciples' previous ego consciousness naturally removes or disappears. In that state, he or she realizes I am one of the parts of Almighty, or Almighty exists in everywhere, even in me. In other words, there is nothing except Almighty in many names and forms. So, from the beginning, the disciple starts to follow the Guru's instruction after having initiation And just after finishing the entire process, his mental state reaches to that state from where the disciple or devotee realizes that everything is nothing but God. We are the parts of God, or God exists in us. Hearty pranam to you everyone again and again.